Go ahead, punk. Make me play.
This is Bumping Into That Sound.
Welcome to Bumping Into That Sound, the rock-centric music and tone podcast where we dive deep into the riffs, rhythms and stories behind your favourite artists, tracks and instruments. My name is Francis and I'm your host. Today on the show, I'm joined by Australian artist Rose Carleo, the frontwoman of the Rose Carleo Band. With a career spanning over 20 years, Rose has worked alongside some of Australia's most iconic musicians and built an impressive catalogue covering country, blues and rock. The Rose Carleo Band has just dropped their brand new single, Daisies Song, which is available now on all major platforms. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Rose to talk about some of the standout moments from her career and dive into the inspiration behind the new single, Daisies Song.
Hello.
Hey, Rose, how you going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. The first thing I wanted to do is, if you're up for it, is go back to the beginning. So the pre-professional musician.
Oh, when I was a kid.
Yeah. So, because you've been going for a long time. So
Yes.
obviously there's a lead-in story, no doubt.
Sure. So I grew up in Fremantle in Perth, Western Australia.
Oh, okay.
And my mum was a huge music fan, huge country music fan, and used to always have music on in the house. And so I loved music. She's the reason I sing. She dared me to get up on stage when I was 13 years old. She passed away when I was 19.
Oh, wow, so you're young.
Yeah, so it's all because of her. It's all her fault, I say, because of her dare. So, yeah, look, I've explored a few different genres. I moved from Perth to Brisbane for about 6 years, and then I've settled in New South Wales about 14 years ago, I think now. Yeah, something like that. So,
oh, right.
yeah, so and mostly from songwriting and touring and gigs and things like that. So, I ended up here.
Right. So, because I've looked at your catalogue of work, and it's definitely not one box. There's a lot to it, and it crosses a lot of different styles of music.
Yeah.
So if you had to define yourself, or you're telling someone about you, because I've listened to them and they equally all sound like it's yourself. That doesn't sound like you're having a go at something.
Sure. Thank you.
So what would you say is your style? Do you fit happiest in a particular category?
Yeah, look, when I'm rocking out, definitely. But I think, I feel, well, I try to portray emotion in a song, or in a lyric, or when I'm delivering it or when I'm writing it.
Yeah.
So I like to think that I've, got a bit of soul or a bit of emotion in there.
Which I guess is what country and blues-based
Yeah.
music do very well.
That's right. And,
Yeah.
I fell in love with the storytelling with country music. I really loved it. So hence the new song we've just released, Daisies Song. It's got a great story, and a relatable one, I think, as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually want to quiz you on that as well. But so before we get to that one, the journey from, the last 20 years of doing it, has it been challenging, or has it been all everything's just fallen into place for you, or has it been a constant?
It's always challenging. It's always a challenge, definitely. Yeah, look, there's challenges of life, of family, of outside forces that you can't control, being in the right place at the right time, all that kind of stuff. I've suffered, unfortunately, a bit of loss the last few years. I lost my mum when I was 19, but my brother passed away 4 years ago, and my sister passed away just last year.
Oh, geez,
So,
that's
and
terrible.
so it's been really challenging and painful in many ways, but also with music, it's been healing too. I've been able to write and perform, and once I've kind of managed to get out of that dark spot, it's taken a bit.
Yeah.
So, but as far as music goes, and the industry and all that kind of stuff, no, not everything just falls into place. I wish it did, But I think the main thing is just really being true to who you are and true to yourself, and doing you, because no one else can be you.
And because you've had some associations with some really powerhouse names in the industry. So how did, like, well, for example, because you did work with Paul Wassine from the Screaming Jets.
Yeah,
So how did that connection come about?
he gosh, we miss him so much. I actually met him. It would have been the mid 90s in Perth, would you believe? So I'm from Perth originally.
Oh, okay.
And I would have met him. So he was back and forth with the Screaming Jets. So I met him through other muso mates. Those days were a bit hazy for them, though.
Yeah.
So, and then met him again when, so my husband, Mick Atkins, our guitar player and MD, he was in a bit of a supergroup band, Raised the
Oh,
Flag, and Paul was playing with them, and Gleeso and a few others. They just did a few gigs here and there. So I sort of met up with him again then, and then we always clicked. He was like a big brother to me. So, and then I went in to record the Time Is Now album in 2015,
yep.
and Mick and I co-produced that with Mark Opitz and Colin Wynn,
Yeah.
which was really, really cool. And I rang Paulie and I said, will you come and play bass for me on the album and maybe do a little bit of touring with us? He's like, and the Jets were having a bit of a break. And he says, yeah, of course. So, yeah, he came in and recorded and toured with us for a little bit. Then he had his solo album out, Bombito, and he said, well, I've got some gigs to do, so why don't you come on the road with me and we'll do a little solo tour. I'm like, great, let's do it. So I did about 6 or
Wow.
7 dates with him, just opening up on me and my acoustic with my songs, and then he would just, he blew me away every single night. He was incredible. So we toured for a little bit, and we all just became really, really good mates, good friends. So, the common denominator, I think, is love of music and
Yeah.
spreading the joy. Spreading the talent, spreading the passion. So yeah, Paulie was very he's up for anything. Let's do this, let's do it. And he really loved the songs as well, which was really cool. So yeah, that was a beautiful time that we won't ever forget.
That's really good that you got that memory and that experience too, working with him. Because I know Dave Gleason, used to often say that he believed Paul was the best songwriter, best rock songwriter in the country.
I agree. Yeah,
And you look at the catalogue of hits that they had and those albums that they put together.
yeah,
They had some amazing work, amazing
absolutely.
body of work that those guys put together. They really were. I often describe them as our Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, agree. Yeah,
That's really, they just had that
the edge.
the edge about them.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was just something about them and the way their songs came across and the creativity and the feel. And when you'd see them live, there was a magic in the room and it was so
yeah,
loud um, but at the same time, they were such professional in terms of the quality of sound and the quality of the performance.
definitely.
They really found that balance of coming across like this, anything could happen, wild
And
party
did.
guys,
Yeah,
but the performance was always right on point.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
good. Just
what an opportunity you had, that people would dream of to
such a
be able.
privilege. Such a
Yeah.
privilege. Yeah, it was. I drove from here in New South Wales to. Um, we played in Byron and in
Oh,
Queensland. And he'd done some. Then he did some dates for me in Queensland for my Time Is Now tour. But yeah, I drove from here to Byron in one day with my PA in my car. Got to the gig, and he's like, "All right, we'll set up the PA." I set up the PA, got changed, and then like half an hour later, I was on. and then
wow.
and then he was like, "Yeah, it was when I look back, it was like, man, gosh, that was full on."
Yeah.
So yeah, it was lots of fun. Yeah, it
And
was good.
then the other one that you've that I'm aware of is Rose Tattoo's bass guitarist.
Oh, Kingy, Steve Kingy, he was with us for 8 years.
For 8 years. Wow.
He only went back to Rose Tattoo last year.
Wow. Okay. Because yeah, what was it? Was it Mark? Was the guy that was in?
Mark Evans, yeah, he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
playing bass, yeah.
So
So
yeah. So he's gone back now to tour with the
to the
with the
Tats,
Tats.
yeah. So
Wow.
Rose Carleo Band formed in 2016, and that was with myself, Mick Adkins, my hubby, and Mick O'Shea and Steve King. And yeah, we were together, yeah, up until last year. Then he left to go back to the Tats, which is totally cool. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wrote songs and, you know, on the road and gigs and things like that.
Jeez.
So he went
Yeah.
back, which is cool. I mean, we're still in touch and everything, of course. So, and now we have a guy called Bill Curvin, who's amazing as well. He was in the engine room with Mick O'Shea with a few different bands, but namely Dragon and Swanee.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's
Jeez.
he's pretty awesome too. So
So you're aligning yourself with some accredited talent.
thank you. Yeah, they're good blokes. They're just, I'm a very straight up person, so just give each other a bit of a bit of shit here and there and just fuck around.
Yeah.
So they're like my big brothers. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's very cool.
And the other thing I wanted to quiz you on is, and you mentioned it, the album that you did with Mark.
Yep.
So what was it? Because you've obviously had a lot of you put out a lot of music. Working with someone like him, was that a thing of you could instantly feel the difference, recognize the difference, or was it a thing of you walk in the room with him and it's like, right, this is how we're going to do it, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see the wealth of experience that someone like him brings to producing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It was like that. It was, once I sort of got over my fangirl thing,
Yeah.
it's Mark Opus. But when I initially rang him and said, obviously you don't know me, but I'd really like to do some work with you. Hear you're producing some independent artists. What's the go? And he said, well, send me through some stuff. We'll see what you're up to. And then I got a call back or a message back saying, yeah, we'd love to work with you. Which was cool. And so, because Mick and I produced it with him, so it was very, very, it was a bit surreal, and it was like, he's obviously such a legend, producer, and very knowledgeable, and in touch with everything that's been hot in the last 30 years, in
Yeah.
music. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like that. We with four, I guess, with all of us producing, it was really good opportunity to learn from them and to sit back and listen and take in what you might not agree, but let's take it in and let's try it. And so there was a lot of give and take, which was really, really good. And
Yeah.
sort of by, I guess, the second day, I'd lost my shyness, and I was like, oh, can we try this, or why don't we try this, or
Yeah.
whatever. So we all just worked together really, really well. But yeah, it was a pretty special moment for me.
And is there plans to do more like with him?
Yeah, hopefully. We're still in touch. I think Mark's he travels a fair bit, so down the track, yeah, I'd love to. We haven't sort of broached the subject, but definitely would be open to it for sure. And
Yeah.
the door's definitely not closed there at all. So
And I suppose one of the most important people then in the band is your husband.
yeah.
So was that? Did you guys meet as a result of being in music? Is that how it
we
all came together?
we did. So we met back in Perth in the mid to late 90s.
Oh, okay.
We had separate bands, and then we ended up in the same band for a little while, and then we were just like bandmates. And then him and his then wife, they ended up going back to Tassie. He grew up in Tasmania
Oh,
to
right.
start their family, and I was living in Perth with my partner, and just sort of kept in touch a little bit over the years. You'd hear things about people, before the internet and Facebook and all that
Yeah.
stuff. He bought a couple of my albums that I, bought out. So you sort of know what people are, got your finger on the pulse. People are doing stuff here and there and everywhere. And then we reconnected again in 2012 through I guess through our love of guitars.
Yeah.
And we just got chatting and stuff and hadn't seen each other for years. And then we both happened to be single. That's not how it started. I mean, we were just chatting about music and things. And then, yeah, we were both single and it kind of developed from there.
Wow. So
And then Mick came up here to live in New South Wales. And then, we formed Rose Carleo Band, and he still has his original band of many, many years called Rogue Sharks. They're a fantastic hard rock outfit too.
oh, right.
So,
Okay.
and here we are.
Geez. Well, that's a good story. That's,
Yeah,
the stars aligning as such,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really bizarre. We were mates in the band and just saw each other at gigs, and it was really quite weird how it all happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And to go slightly off sideways while we're talking about Mick, um, the version that you guys did of Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, I think that sounds unreal. I thought that the mix, the way the guitars came through, I think it really came together well. It didn't. A lot of bands when they do a song like that, it ends up sounding like an imitation. Like it's where that I thought you really owned.
Thank you for that. I'll pass it on. He will love that.
Yeah,
I mean, we're probably two of the biggest AC/DC fans in the world ever,
yeah,
especially him. And he's such a great player. But just to make it that little bit of difference.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's a great producer too. So
Yeah. No, I think it sounded great. I think you did a
thank you,
great job with that. It jumped out to me straight away, as
thank
someone
you.
that's into sound. And I was gonna quiz you, and I don't expect you to know the answer. But I'm gonna have a guess that it was a JCM 800 and a Les Paul.
Was it the SG or the Les Paul? I think it was. Oh, he's going to tell me off for this. I think it was. I think it was the Les Paul. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he does have an SG as well. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, it sounded good. Whatever combo he used, it
yeah,
definitely it was the sound of rock and roll. Really, it's
yeah, definitely the 800. It's and like I run a Laney head on a Marshall quad
yeah,
box as
okay,
well.
yep,
So
yeah.
big
The look,
sounds.
the Laney is a very underrated. They have some very very underrated products.
It is so loud. I love it.
Yeah, but their Ironheart that they've
Yes,
got, that's a fantastic amp. I mean, it would take it to a $7,000 Friedman amp any day of the week.
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
What we can get now. Yeah,
yeah. No, it's a great amp. I mean, no one talks about them, unfortunately. You don't really, very rarely see them on stage.
yeah.
But no, it is a great amp. I remember years ago, and you probably remember when Blood, Sweat and Beers tour.
Yes, yeah,
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 and they played that.
yes.
They were playing that, and I remember hearing them do it, and they owned it too. And that's such a shame that those tours. When I remember speaking to someone about them, and I said, the lineup on those tours, if that was in America, they'd be filling up arenas.
Yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely.
we really don't value our own the way we should.
It's
And
bizarre.
it is. And look, I'm only an outsider looking. I feel the frustration. I can only imagine what people like yourself who are on the inside of the industry. And it's just you just look at it and you go, that stage was full of a guy from the Jets, a guy from Rose Tattoo, a guy from the Angels, and it's
Yeah,
and it's like what more do you really want? There was so much talent on there, and the set list was outstanding. Like you weren't going to turn up and hope to hear it; you were gonna hear it.
gonna hear it. Yeah, yeah.
And you can go right back to the easy beats. We don't value them enough.
Oh, they
You
were
know,
just
it's
they were
it's
just a weapon, weren't they? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's so frustrating, and I don't know why, and I don't know if it's a radio thing. I don't know what it is, but it's something that I don't know if it's us as Australians or the industry doesn't value, which, yeah, I really feel sorry for people in it that,
I
yeah,
think I think it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. You sort of take it for granted. You speak to so many people. They used to go and see the Angels and NXS and ACDC.
yeah,
In the day. Down at their local.
yeah.
And
And there was
obviously look at
something on every weekend.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and they just took it for granted. So
yeah,
it's a hard one.
yeah. Well, to the new single, so that you've just put out.
Yeah.
So, the what was the obviously that's a very emotionally charged song.
It is. So Daisy's Song it was born a couple of years ago. One of Mick's friends, Darren Booth, his nickname is Daisy. He was going through a real hard time at the time, and just poured his heart out in lyrics, sort of like a poem, I guess. He was going through depression and anxiety and alcoholism, and just spilled it all out on paper. And obviously, Mick, grabbed Mick and grabbed us. Mick reworded and reworked some of the lyrics and stuff because it was more in a poem form originally.
Right.
And then that same day, he wrote all the music, and then he said to me, "Look at this." And I was like, "What?" We wrote the melody, and I said, "Well, yep, let's demo it. Let's demo it up." I could really relate to the lyrics too. I think most people on the planet can, at some point, could relate to them. Did, I think, 2 runs of the demo, and I said, "Yep, that's it. That's a melody I'm happy with. Let's go with it." And then it just kind of, we let it sit for, it was during COVID as well, sort of coming out of COVID, just let it cure for a little bit. I think some songs you need to kind of let sit and breathe for a little bit as well, I've always believed.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they evolve from, give it a bit of a rest and then go back and listen to it or whatever. So it worked on and off and had different things come up. So now was the time, I guess, the right time to get it out there. So very proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. It's a really nice song. Do you find one thing that intrigues me about artists like yourself, when you pour your heart and soul out and you're laying words down, and especially if it's more of a storytelling song than just a straight out rock track that feels good. Do you ever feel anxious about, oh, there's going to be X amount of thousand people now that know something that I probably wouldn't have even talked about had I not been singing it?
Yeah, look, absolutely, because I think songwriting and then performing those songs or collaborating with other people, on those touchy matters, I suppose, is always a bit of a gamble. It's not it's a gamble, I guess, to yourself because you're worried about it. But because we're all human, one thing I guess I've learned is we all go through almost all the same things in life, just at different times.
Yeah.
In our life. Like I lost my mum when I was 19. Some people might not lose their mum when, till they're 60 or whatever,
That's
so
right. Yeah.
it does happen. So, so when I was younger, I would have said, I was a bit worried, like, oh, people know that I really relate to this, or I do this or do that. But now maybe it's just with age. It doesn't bother me. I just, it's quite refreshing actually. It's, I think I'm still working on it, but life's too short to worry too much about what people think or, because those that are judging probably are feeling it the same as well, but they just won't admit it.
Yeah. Yep. And as an artist who, you've got a catalogue of work, do you ever look back and go, oh, that song I did 5 years ago, geez, I wish I could do it again, or I should have done this? Is that something, or do you make it, drop it, walk away on to the next thing?
Yeah, I think you have to, because otherwise you just obsess and obsess.
Yeah.
You can do, as you would know, you can do so many vocal takes. I could do vocal takes for a year on one song. But I think I can do it better. I'll give it another month,
Yeah.
At some point, you've just got to go, you know what? It's the best. It's the way it's meant to be at the time of recording, like now or whatever. Like when we went into the studio, when I did the vocal for Daisies Song. So I was quite emotional, I was singing it and feeling it. So, a few of the takes were like, yeah, no, that's not good. It's not going to happen. I had to go over it again. But I didn't sort of prolong it. I think prolonging it over weeks or whatever is a bit, it's hard on you emotionally as well. So let's get in, let's do a few takes. Have a break, have a coffee or whatever you need to do. Or a little nip of Fireball. I may or may not do sometimes. And maybe do another take, and go from there. And it's the best I can do. I'm happy with it. The emotion's right, the breathing's right, the intonation, everything I feel is good. If the world stops tomorrow, I know I did a great. I feel like I did a really good job of that song. And then move on.
Well, and tell me if I'm wrong. If you do obsess over it and you're doing it over and over and over, it would probably start to feel manufactured. It would lose its edge as such.
Spontaneity and feel, and absolutely it does. Yeah.
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 Right, that's interesting. And the other one, the other track that jumped out at me, Light 'Em Up.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's our party song.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's another great one that you guys have got. And that's, I suppose, very much at the other end of the spectrum where it's just feel good rock. It's
Yeah,
just
pretty
designed to
much.
feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, that most of that fell out of Mick like really quick. That song was like line them up and and naming Kingy and Shady,
Yeah.
in the lyric and stuff. It really sort of personalised it, I think. And yeah, just a feel good end of the night. Let's line them up.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have some songs like that too.
And do you prefer studio work or touring? Is there one place you're happiest?
Oh, that's a hard one. I love both for different reasons, I guess. So the touring and live work is, you've got the vibe of the crowd and
Yeah.
the energy of the guys on stage and
And the noise.
and the noise, and looking
Yeah.
down at the audience, and there might be one or two people that know some of your older stuff and they're singing along and it's like, whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But then the studio part, I kind of love the solitude of it, that you can just really get into a zone
Oh, okay.
and nothing will distract you either. Um, so I love both. Probably live just wins,
Wow,
but
okay. Yeah.
but I love being in the studio.
And being on the road, like you said, you jump in the car and off you go and travel around. Is it ever like a hard thing to be away from home for periods of time?
Oh, for sure. Look, I haven't done sort of months or anything on the road like some, but yeah, definitely, it
Yeah.
is always hard. But I guess with technology and phones and all that kind of stuff that you can do now, it's not as bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It really is. And if you're on your own doing stuff, like I did years ago, yeah, it can be hard and can be a bit lonely. Um,
Yeah. I can
yeah,
imagine that
yeah,
and you're obviously always, especially if you've gone away and left someone at home doing what you normally would be helping with,
yeah.
you're going to have that guilt pull, I suppose.
Well, like when I went on the road with Paulie, it was just him and I. Mick came and met us up at Queensland for two of the gigs, I think, a couple of the gigs, and I was like, "You should come. You should come on the." And he's like, "No, no, I'm good. You go and do it." And and being a musician as well, obviously very understanding and
Yeah, yeah,
gets it. But it was, yeah, like I missed him. It was weird, kind of weird not to be there with him, but it was
yeah.
different experience again.
And is there anyone that's on your, well, I suppose before I get to that question, coming at it from most people I talk to, if they're a guitarist, there's always someone that was that inspiration, that thing of I want to sound like that, I want to play like that. For you as a performer and a player and a vocalist, who was it that you obviously got, the most inspiration from?
Oh, so when I was a kid, it was I loved and still do love Emmylou Harris.
Oh, okay.
Um, just her vocal style, her songwriting was just like a whole new world to me as a 13-year-old. Just like, whoa, who's this lady?
Yeah.
Was really cool. Bon Scott, even from a young age, for me
Oh,
as well.
really?
Yeah, just the attitude, just the his songwriting, his cheekiness, his charisma. He had such a, charismatic energy, but like his voice was unreal.
Yeah. Yep.
So love Bon Scott. Paul Rogers is probably another one as well. Um,
Yeah. Very underrated.
oh, he's
Yeah.
just phenomenal.
Very underrated. And his voice doesn't age.
Oh, we saw him. I think Stonefest was here in 2013, maybe. Um, no, I'm thinking about Glenn Hughes. Sorry. When did I see Paul Rogers? Anyway, same kind of thing. Yeah, back the rockers those days.
Yeah.
Voice doesn't age, but I have seen quite a few live clips and stuff of Paul. I'm sort of a bit of a Instagram tragic following him. I love
Yeah.
it. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, he definitely doesn't. He's aged extremely well. Definitely. You wouldn't really know if you didn't know how long he's been around and doing it, you wouldn't have any idea how old he is.
no, that's right.
Yeah, it's incredible. And if if there's someone that's your dream person to do a collab with, to work with,
Ooh,
is there one or is there many?
there's many.
There's many.
Anne Wilson from Heart.
Okay.
She's just sublime. Her voice, and I just think she's incredible. I've seen her in concert a few times and just gobsmacked. She just sounds so incredible. Still now. Anne Wilson, Robert Plant.
Oh, okay. So
He's
obviously the Led Zeppelin
oh yeah,
fan. Yep.
yeah, huge Zeppelin fan. Melissa Etheridge would be really cool.
Yeah, yep. Which I can definitely see the similarities in your
Love her.
style.
Great.
Yeah, you've both got that very well, she's the same too. She sort of crossed a lot of genres as well.
Yeah,
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 she has as well.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I saw her last year at the Blues Festival in Broadbeach.
I saw her just after in May at the ICC actually. Yeah, so
Ah,
yeah, yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
I've seen her about 3 times actually, 3 or 4 times already. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Wow.
she's unreal. Yeah,
And the other one that it always interests me from everyone's point of view is the challenge of the industry you're in, pushing, promoting, self-funding, doing everything, wearing every hat. Um, is it, how do you find that? How do you deal with that? Is it a,
it's full on.
yeah,
It's full on. You're right. Self-funded. The old school, I think, record deals are kind of a thing of the past,
yeah,
how they were, right? So a lot of us are independent and self-funded. So I do a lot of cover gigs as well, because that's how you hone your craft, right? So I do a lot of solo acoustic work. We do duo. We've got a cover band. And generally that money I say to people, to feed my habit,
right.
to
So that,
record,
yeah,
right?
that's a great way because I mean, and
Yeah.
you're honing your skills and then you're using that to fuel your passion,
Yeah.
which is in the same skill set.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's probably a great way to look at it.
And of course, doing solo gigs or acoustic gigs, you get to road test a lot of songs
Yeah.
as well. You don't necessarily have to say, "Oh, this is the song I wrote last week." You can just start playing the song, and people are
Yeah.
listening or they're not. It's okay.
Yeah.
So there's certain advantages with that. It is hard work. I was saying to someone the other day, that picture of the tip of the iceberg, but then under the water it's got
Yeah.
this huge. That's exactly what it's
Yep.
like. You sing for a blip on the radar, but the
Yep.
rest of the work that you do,
Yeah, is all
promoting,
underneath.
writing songs, booking gigs, getting the band together, all sorts of stuff. Or like we have a really great publicist doing a fantastic job at the moment for us, Kat Swinton. She's incredible. Don't know what we do without her.
Yeah.
Very fortunate to have met and surrounded ourselves with some fantastic people
Yeah.
that definitely, share the load with us.
And tell me if I'm wrong, you've got on your tour, you're heading to, is it Japan?
Yes.
So
I'm
how
so
did that,
excited.
yeah, how did that one come about? That's obviously, a bit of a decent trip.
Yeah, so we did a gig with some friends almost a year, oh no, probably about 8 months ago, Simple Stone, and they had just been to Japan. And I was like, how did that happen? Tell me more. And it turns out there's a guy who knows a guy in South Australia. So there's a group that send Aussie rock bands
Oh,
to Japan.
really?
So other, like the Poor have done it. There's a bunch of other Australian bands that have done it. So I was like, I want in on that. And I said to the boys, we're going to go to Japan. And they're like, oh, okay, what's she planning?
Wow.
So I emailed the guy, and we've been chatting, and so we've locked in the dates in April.
That's great.
2026, we're going to do I think 2 shows maybe in Tokyo, then Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe. So
Wow, that is
but
great.
I'm going to
Yeah.
have a few days off in the middle because I want to explore
Yeah.
Japan.
While you're
So
there.
yeah, but it's their rock scene is huge, and
Yeah.
Japanese love Australian original music, especially rock music.
Yeah, it is funny that, isn't it? Because if you don't know, you would never know that that's what they're
Yeah,
into. But you talk to a lot of people, and it's very much the South American countries are very big in it,
yeah.
and Japan, and I think maybe South
Germany.
Korea is. Yeah,
Yeah,
Germany's
yeah.
massive in it. Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you is, do you feel? I mean, you're well established. You've done your time, and you've honed the craft and built up. But if someone's coming up now that's a 20-year-old, 18-year-old trying to break in, do you think the best advice is pack up and go, or keep going on the Australian circuit?
Part of me wants to say pack up and go.
Yeah,
You know,
unfortunately, I know that's how it feels, and
yeah. Look, I'd maybe give it a time limit, like maybe, give yourself 2 years, just go hard in Australia and grab every opportunity you can do, or try and get every support you can get, or
yeah,
whatever. And then go, okay, then in 2 years' time, my plan is I'm going to go to Nashville or to LA or wherever, Germany.
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what I would say, or have some kind of a plan, and um, meet people, or seek out people that know the way to go about it, or are experienced in doing that.
Yeah, I know. It is unfortunate that we don't have the music scene that we once did of the 80s,
Yeah,
where you could just keep doing laps of the country and you're playing plenty of rooms and getting radio play,
yeah.
and it's like all of a sudden the switch turned off and it all stopped.
I mean, look at Airborne for instance.
Yeah,
Classic example. They're
yeah,
huge overseas, but
yeah.
they
But
had to leave
here,
the country.
people haven't heard of them.
I know.
And I don't know why radio's got to be in its bonnet about not supporting them. I don't get it. They've especially their
Crazy.
second album was outstanding.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
there would have been 80% of that album could have been played on radio.
Yeah, we're huge Airborne fans, so it's like, but it's a shame. Yeah, they had to leave the country to go and get.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's probably a whole other kettle of fish. But
Yeah, but it is a shame. And I've
yeah,
even heard people like Michael Chugg say, my advice is just go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it is a real shame. But I guess like doing what you've said is start at the beginning, get your cover gigs, try and do as much as you can, because if you are going to go, you want to be on your best.
Kind of want to be match fit. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You don't want to turn up and be learning. You want to turn up and play the game.
that's exactly right. And I've over years of me doing gigs, I do anywhere between 2 and 4 gigs a week, even just
Wow.
solo acoustic. Just me and my guitar singing. So, and that of course makes you match fit, and not only vocal wise and stuff, but audience wise, you deal with different situations. So
Yeah.
there is something to be said for you know being stuck in the corner and no one's listening to you, but you're still playing.
Yeah.
I mean, not every gig's like that, but I've done my fair share.
Yeah. And what's next? What's apart from the big Japanese tour, taking your
So yeah,
brand
so
over
look, the
there?
album will. Yeah, the album will be out later in the year. We're booking more dates for New South Wales. I want to book some more dates or book dates, I should say, for Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, and go back to Perth and do a couple would be really good.
Yep. I was about to ask about Queensland because we always get forgotten up here.
Yeah, no, I lived in Queensland for about 6 years, so definitely Queensland is on the board, on the whiteboard. So
Yeah.
just need
So
to.
that'll be the tail end of the year once the album's out.
I think so. Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be later on in the year. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, that's
maybe
great.
early into yeah. So because we're already sort of booking, November, December now. So it's sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But even into next year. And look, we'll just see. We're going to, try and get on maybe a few festivals and things like that, which would hopefully lead to other things as well. So that's always the aim, to get on a festival or a good support or a good tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we just have to keep chugging along and doing our thing.
Yeah. Well, look, I wish you the best, and I hope
Thank
everything
you.
continues onwards and upwards
Thanks,
for you
Francis. It's
guys
been
and the
lovely
band.
chatting with you.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for checking out the show. If you did like it and have the opportunity, please do leave a 5-star review on your podcast player. It does help others find the show. If you want to find out more information about this episode, the guest, or even the other episodes that are on offer, head over to bumpingintothatsound.com.au. Find the episode page, and I always do my best to list follow-up links and details that make it easy for you to find out more. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'm looking forward to bumping into you next time.